Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and I just got back from the new film Gangster Squad. It is the story of a group of LAPD detectives who are attempting to keep Los Angeles free of gangsters during the 1940s, specifically 1949. Josh Brolin's character, who's sick of Mickey Cohen, played by Sean Penn, ruling Los Angeles. He came back from World War II, and he's fought for this freedom. He doesn't want it all messed up by Sean Penn and his terrible gangsters. He tries to stop them single-handedly, but that doesn't work out until the chief of police forms a off-the-books gangster squad that he lets Josh Brolin form himself. And he forms it with an incredible cast of Ryan Gosling, Michael Pena, Robert Patrick, Anthony Mackie, and of course the always elusive Giovanni Ribisi. And they form together to take down Mickey Cohen all anti-vigilante style with their own guns, shooting people and taking back Los Angeles from Mickey Cohen and his evil criminal organization. This film is directed by Ruben Fleischer, who is probably best known for Zombieland in 30 Minutes or Less. This is his first non-action comedy, and I don't think he's very well suited to do anything but action comedy after seeing this film. It's not made by someone who really understands gangster cinema or has seen any gangster movies or even knows who Edward G. Robinson and James Cagney are. He seems to think a gangster film is like a dumb action film and it's just a series of action set pieces, and it kind of fails on both those fronts. If you look at the great gangster films like The Godfather, White Heat, Public Enemy, they're about character. There's a lot of character development till you get to the action sequences that are in those films, and those sequences really mean something because you're basing it on character. From watching this, I don't think Ruben Fleischer is well versed enough in that kind of stuff to really be making a gangster film. I can tell he really likes The Untouchables and Dick Tracy. He doesn't really seem to understand why and how those movies became what they were. He just, I think, thinks he can just watch those movies, and maybe he's seen some Boardwalk Empire episodes, but he doesn't really understand the period. Very few of these characters actually talk like they're from the late 40s and early 50s. There's a couple times where they reference movie stuff, like Josh Brolin's wife mentions Ma and Pa Kettle, and Sean Penn says Claude Rains at a certain point, just so we're totally clear this is like the late 40s. They never mention like who the president was at the time. They don't really use slang that was around at the time. Even if you let go of that and just look at this as just a regular action film, I think this fails at even doing that. Ruben Fleischer, I've never been the biggest fan of him, but I never thought he could fail this badly, because the series of action set pieces he does are not shot very well. The color correction in this does the typical, like, let's desaturate everything because it's the past. I know it's the past. They're all wearing period clothing. I can look around. I don't even understand why they color correct things this way. It seems like a lot of work for a very ugly and unsatisfying payoff. And then the camera work, there's a lot of times he'll do slow motion to kind of spice up an otherwise dull action set piece, and then he'll speed up the camera and then slow it down again for really no aesthetic reason. It just looked like Ruben Fleischer knew a lot of these action set pieces sucked and were just bland and not very well staged. And slow-mo is one thing, but to have it speed up and slow down, it just really did not work. He wouldn't even let me get into the slow-mo. He was so insecure about these action sequences. I always kind of had a little bit of faith in Ruben Fleischer, and this film just makes me think he's not even an adequate action director. This was so awful. It's one of the worst directed action films I've seen in a really long time. He has no clue what to do with a cast this large. I mean, everyone who's not Ryan Gosling, Josh Brolin, Sean Penn, and Emma Stone gets lost in the mix. He doesn't seem to know what to do with them. He somehow got one of the worst performances I've seen from Josh Brolin in recent memory. Ryan Gosling seems to be able to have enough charisma to at least get a good movie star performance out of Gangster Squad. I don't know how he does it, but he seems to do it. Him and Sean Penn are pretty much the two actors who you really want to follow. Sean Penn is really great as Mickey Cohen. He follows in that grand gangster tradition of having a great actor play the gangster, like Edward G. Robinson, James Cagney, and Marlon Brando and Al Pacino before him. This is just a director working out of his element and failing pretty badly. With stunted dialogue, as much charm as Ryan Gosling has, he can't even get himself out of how bad some of this dialogue is. It's not good at being a gangster movie. It's not good at being an action movie. It just fails on all fronts. It's kind of a dumbass premise anyway, even though it's based on a true story, which handicaps it already. But if you had someone who understood how these kind of films work, this might have worked a lot better than it presently does. Ruben Fleischer likes De Palma, but he doesn't understand why De Palma is De Palma. He doesn't get the film references in De Palma. He doesn't get that. He just likes the cool action and stuff. And that's what you get from this. It's a very empty style and an ugly style over substance movie. Ruben Fleischer needs to make things that he's comfortable with and make Ruben Fleischer movies like Zombieland and 30 Minutes or Less. And making action films just isn't in the cards for him. It was stupid and arrogant to think a film like this would work for him, and it was made with a lot of stupidity and arrogance, and you can see that throughout this really bad action gangster film. Although there was one part I really liked. There's this part where Mickey Cohen, Sean Penn's character, they have this guy and they're about to like torture him, and he goes, "You guys know the drill." And then they get a power drill and drill it through his head. I was like, oh my god, that is amazing. I laughed. That, if the movie had just been that, 4 stars. That was so funny. This is the drill, and they get a drill. Oh man. So if you have seen Gangster Squad and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments, and subscribe if you would like to. You know the drill. It's a drill.